Packers Nation. Today's video might completely change how you see the future of this team, because two massive stories just dropped, and when you connect them, they paint a picture of a franchise standing at a crossroads. What's up, everybody? Victor here, and welcome back to Packers Nation Report, the home of real Packers fans. And let me tell you, this offseason is already getting wild. One report suggests that Green Bay could seriously consider moving on from one of its biggest offensive stars, a player who carried the ground game, battled through tough defenses, and nearly hit 1,000 rushing yards last season at just 27 years old. A move like that would shock the locker room, the fan base, and honestly, the entire NFC. But here's the twist. While the Packers might be preparing to sacrifice on offense to protect their financial flexibility and retain key talent, another report says Green Bay could be ready to go all in on defense. We're talking about a potential signing of a future Hall of Famer, a 9-time Pro Bowler, a player with over 113 career sacks who could line up next to Micah Parsons and instantly transform this pass rush into one of the most terrifying units in the entire NFL. Let that sink in for a second. Micah Parsons, plus one of the greatest edge rushers of this generation, on the same defense. After Parsons went down, the Packers finished with just the 21st ranked pass rush grade in the NFL. That's not championship football, and clearly, Green Bay knows it. So now the question becomes, are the Packers willing to make a painful offensive sacrifice to build an elite Super Bowl caliber defense? Are we witnessing a full identity shift for this franchise in 2026? Because if these two moves happen, this team won't just be trying to sneak into the playoffs. They'll be trying to dominate the NFC. Today, we're breaking down why Green Bay might cut ties with a top offensive weapon, how that money could reshape the entire roster, and why pairing Micah Parsons with a legendary pass rusher could change everything. But before we jump in, real Packers fans, I need you right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's push toward 1,500 subscribers, because only true fans believe the Packers are about to take a massive leap in 2026. If you believe Green Bay is building something special, you belong right here. All right, Packers Nation, let's get into it. Packers Nation, Victor here, and today's news might be one of the most shocking, emotional, and controversial stories of this entire offseason, because there is a very real chance that the Green Bay Packers could release Josh Jacobs. Yep, you heard that right. The same Josh Jacobs who carried this offense at times, the same Josh Jacobs who rushed for nearly 1,000 yards, the same Josh Jacobs who brought toughness, leadership, and physicality back to this run game. And now, the Packers might cut him. Not because he can't play, not because he's washed, but because of money, roster construction, and long-term strategy. This could get wild. We're going to break down why this might happen, what it means for the Packers, where Jacobs could land, and whether this would actually be the right move. Why Josh Jacobs could be cut. So, according to Bleacher Report and multiple league projections, the Packers are entering one of their most complex financial offseasons in years. They're already at risk of losing Romeo Doubs, one of Jordan Love's most trusted targets. They've got big money tied up in multiple premium positions, and they've got young talent that's going to need extensions soon. And because of all that, Josh Jacobs could become the financial sacrifice. This is classic Packers roster management. They don't move emotionally, they move strategically. And historically, when Green Bay invests at running back, they often pivot quickly. We saw it with Eddie Lacy, we saw it with Aaron Jones, and now we might see it again with Josh Jacobs. Last season, Jacobs rushed for almost 1,000 yards, averaged over 4 yards per carry, added receiving value, and brought physical downhill running that this offense desperately needed. At just 27 years old, he's still firmly in his prime. But running back is a brutal business. The Packers' long-term thinking. This move wouldn't be about Josh Jacobs as a player. It would be about cap efficiency and roster balance. Green Bay has young receivers ready for bigger roles. Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden-Savion Williams, and that depth gives them flexibility to potentially shift money away from running back and toward other positions. Meanwhile, the Packers have cheaper options behind Jacobs, specifically Emmanuel Wilson, who flashed potential, runs hard, protects the ball, and costs a fraction of what Jacobs makes. Is Wilson ready to fully replace Jacobs? Probably not. But in Green Bay's system, committee backs plus offensive line plus scheme often produce strong results. And let's be real, this front office believes in building through the draft, not paying premium contracts to running backs. That philosophy has been consistent for over a decade. Why this feels familiar? This situation feels eerily similar to Aaron Jones. Remember? Fan favorite, heart and soul of the offense, huge production. And yet, they moved on. Not because Jones wasn't great, but because financially, they felt they could replace the position more efficiently. Now Jacobs could become the next tough decision. And emotionally, this one hurts, because Jacobs brought swagger, leadership, and edge to this offense, something Green Bay badly needed. Where Josh Jacobs could land. If the Packers do release him, there will be no shortage of suitors. Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs could be an incredibly dangerous fit. They're likely moving on from Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, and their offense desperately needs balance. Pairing Josh Jacobs with Patrick Mahomes instantly makes that offense much scarier. If Travis Kelce retires, KC will need more run game stability, and Jacobs fits that perfectly. Baltimore Ravens. If there's one team that knows how to use power backs, it's Baltimore. With Derrick Henry aging and John Harbaugh potentially out, the Ravens could seek a long-term anchor in the run game. Jacobs in that offense, with Lamar Jackson, that would be absolutely terrifying for defensive coordinators. Denver Broncos. This one might be the most fascinating. Sean Payton wants to build around Bo Nix, and Denver desperately needs a true RB1. Josh Jacobs would immediately stabilize that offense, take pressure off Nix, and give Denver legitimate playoff upside. Should the Packers actually do this? Now, the big question, should the Packers actually cut Josh Jacobs? From a pure football standpoint, no. He makes this offense better. From a financial and roster-building standpoint, unfortunately, it makes sense. This team is young. This team is ascending. And this front office wants long-term flexibility, not short-term emotional decisions. Letting Jacobs go would be painful, but it could help retain key defensive talent, offensive linemen, and young receivers. Now, Packers Nation, I want to hear from you. Would you cut Josh Jacobs? Or do you think the Packers must keep him? Is Emmanuel Wilson ready to step up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's debate this, because this is one of the hardest decisions this front office will face all offseason. Packers Nation. After a shocking piece of news, let's move on to news that might be one of the most exciting and potentially franchise-altering rumors of the entire offseason. Because the Green Bay Packers are being predicted to sign a future Hall of Famer to line up next to Micah Parsons. Let that sink in for a second. Micah Parsons and Khalil Mack on the same defense. If this happens, this could completely transform the identity of the Green Bay Packers defense in 2026. We're going to break down why this move makes sense, how it would impact our defense, what Khalil Mack still has left in the tank, and whether this could finally push the Packers into true Super Bowl contention. But before we jump in, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Packers Nation Report, and help us reach our incredible goal of 1,500 subscribers. Your support means everything, and it helps this channel grow every single day. Let's go. Context: why this move matters so much. The Packers made the playoffs in 2025, but let's be honest, the season completely changed when Micah Parsons went down with that devastating knee injury late in the year. Once Parsons was out, the entire defense felt different. The pressure disappeared, quarterbacks had more time, coverage broke down, and the pass rush dropped to 21st in the NFL, according to PFF. That's a massive drop-off. Micah Parsons is the engine of this defense. When he's healthy, he changes protections, forces double teams, and wrecks entire game plans. Now, imagine adding Khalil Mack to that. Who is Khalil Mack right now? Khalil Mack is already one of the greatest edge rushers of his generation. 113 career sacks, 9-time Pro Bowler, former Defensive Player of the Year. One of the most feared defenders of the last decade. Even at 34 years old, Mack is still producing at a very high level. In 2025 with the Chargers, 5.5 sacks in 12 games, 79.2 overall PFF grade, 77.2 run defense grade 13, 2% pass rush win rate. Those are still elite numbers, especially for someone at this stage of their career. And what makes Mack even more dangerous is his discipline, power, technique, and football IQ. He's not just a speed guy, he wins with leverage, hand fighting, and experience. Why Green Bay is a perfect fit. This is where things get really interesting. The Packers already have Micah Parsons, one of the most explosive defensive players in football. Pairing him with Khalil Mack would force double teams on both sides, create constant one-on-one matchups, completely transform the pass rush, make life miserable for opposing quarterbacks. Imagine offensive lines trying to block Parsons off the edge and Mack on the other side. That's nightmare fuel. And beyond that, Mack would bring leadership, playoff experience, and championship mentality to a very young Packers defense. This is the type of veteran presence that can accelerate a championship window. What this means for the rest of the defense: adding Khalil Mack would instantly elevate everyone else. Interior linemen would face fewer double teams. Linebackers would get cleaner lanes. Corners would benefit from faster pressure. And suddenly this defense could jump from middle of the pack to elite. Let's not forget, the Packers finished 7th seed in the NFC. They're not far away. One elite pass rusher could literally be the difference between a wild card exit and a deep playoff run. The Rashan Gary question. Now there's another layer here. Rashan Gary's future in Green Bay is far from certain. If Gary is moved or released, signing Khalil Mack becomes even more logical. Mack wouldn't need to play every snap. He could be part of a rotation, keeping him fresh, explosive, and efficient deep into the season. And in big moments, you unleash Parsons and Mack together. Does Mack still have enough left? Some fans will ask, isn't he too old? And that's fair. But pass rushers age much better than skill players. Guys like Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, Julius Peppers, they all remained highly productive well into their mid-30s. And Mack's game is built on power, technique, and intelligence, not just speed. So yes, he still has plenty left in the tank. Now, Packers Nation, I need your thoughts. Would you sign Khalil Mack? Is pairing him with Micah Parsons the missing piece? Could this move make Green Bay a true Super Bowl contender? Drop your takes in the comments. I want to hear what you guys think. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to Packers Nation Report, and help us reach that massive goal of 1,500 subscribers. This is Victor, and as always, go Pack Go!